The Great Barrier Reef is the most abundant living structure on the planet. Covering 344,400 kilometers, the reef covers hundreds of islands, thousands of coral reefs, and is home to over 1,000 different species. This means it is bigger than the United Kingdom, Switzerland, and Holland combined. This ecosystem is located in tropical shallow waters. It is often referred to as a tropical rainforest of the sea because it's an abundant and diverse ecosystem. The reef is mostly made up of coral, which is made up of limestone. The reef stretches between 20 and 500 feet deep. In order for the reef to thrive, it is vital for clear and healthy water conditions and good light penetration. Although at most parts of the year the reef is clear and calm, seasonally big storms can rattle the area. In February of 2014, the Great Barrier Reef Association had recorded 2 tropical cyclones that had hit the reef. In the past year, the rainfall to the reef has been below average. Although the rainfall is below average, the seawater temperatures have been above average by a few degrees. The sea waters are hotter due to excessive sunlight and because of the thermal stress. Thermal stress causes coral bleaching. This is when the algae turns completely white, but the coral is still alive. The coral is under a lot of stress, and the species living in the coral and the coral itself can die off easier. Not only is coral bleaching a threat to this ecosystem, but scientists are starting to see the conditions of the water are beginning to worsen due to the increased runoff of sediments, nutrients, and pesticides. The coasts near the reef have developed over the years, and with development comes pollution.
The Great Barrier Reef is located on the northeastern coast of Australia and spans over an area of approximately 344,400 square kilometers.
The diverse ecosystem of the coast of Queensland, Australia, can clearly be seen from outer space. The abundance of species isn't limited to small fish, shells, and sea snakes, but bigger animals as well. It is home to almost 30 different species of whales and dolphins and over 100 species of sharks and rays. With much biodiversity comes concern of species. These animals include helmet shells, trident shells, seahorses, all the species of the grouper family, whale sharks, gray nurse sharks, crocodiles, sea turtles, and many species of birds. Not only is the reef host to marine animals and birds, but also a vast array of coral and plants. There are 2 main types of coral that live in the reef, hard coral and soft coral. Hard coral acts as a base to the reef. The soft coral are a little more flexible because of the lack of a skeleton and act as a home for the animals. The Great Barrier Reef has been around longer than all of us have been born. It can be traced back to 20 million years ago. The dead coral from millions of years ago have built up to create the enormity of the reef as it stands today. The coral co-evolved with a type of algae called zooxanthid. Because they have evolved together, it has benefited both parties. The algae uses sunlight and waste products to make oxygen and food, and then the substance leaks to supply nutrients to the coral. Because sunlight is abundant throughout all seasons of the year, the coral and algae both thrive. This is called a mutualism. Tiger sharks have been a top predator and have evolved aggressively in the reef. The sharks lurk around the abundant reef and use their electronic current detection to survive. The sharks thrive off of sea turtles and have very powerful and sharp teeth that can immediately crack through the turtle's shells. Tiger sharks thrive through the reef.
The giant triton, or the Charonia tritonis, is a keystone species in the Great Barrier Reef. The giant triton helps to control the population of crown-of-thorns starfish. Giant tritons are known to feed on such starfish as well as other species such as the blue star and the cushion star. Some people have argued that the excessive collection of the giant tritons has contributed to the crown-of-thorns starfish plagues, which can devastate coral reefs, including the Great Barrier Reef. Sea cucumbers are another keystone species for the Great Barrier Reef. Research has shown that when the sea cucumbers ingest sand, their bodies naturally increase the pH through their digestive system and thus increase the pH levels in the water on the reef with their waste when they defecate. This also works to counter the effects of ocean acidification. The Great Barrier Reef is home to between 400 to 500 species of marine algae. Red and brown algae dominate on the inshore part of the reef, while red and green algae dominate the offshore areas. The Great Barrier Reef has the most extensive beds of Halimeda algae in the world. Coralline algae is another algae that is plentiful in the Great Barrier Reef. Coralline algae is typically pink or another shade of red. Coralline algae plays an important role in the ecosystem of the reef because it provides food for the sea urchins, parrotfish, and mollusks.
In Queensland, Australia, the reef is being harmed by the increased amount of farm runoff. Agricultural sediments, chemicals, and nutrients have all been found in the water. In a recent study, scientists from the Australia Institute of Marine Science compared different coral sites with varying distances from agricultural areas, and found that there was a direct link between coral biodiversity and regrowth and its distance from an agricultural site. At coral sites further away from an agricultural site, there was about double the amount of coral as at those sites closer to the agricultural site. They also found there was a relationship between coral cover and pollutants in the water. Farming runoff not only harms coral due to the chemicals it releases into the water, but also the nutrients that leach into the water. These nutrients, such as chlorophyll and phosphorus, help the overgrowth of the crown of thorns starfish. These starfish eat coral and weaken the biodiversity of the reef. The loggerhead turtle, known for their large heads, are threatened by the possibility of getting caught in fishing nets. Due to their migratory patterns, loggerheads often swim into fisheries and get caught in fishing gear. This causes them to drown due to their inability to surface for air. This is a major threat to the reefs because loggerheads are a vital part of the nutrient recycling process. The dugong, or sea cow, a cousin to the manatee, is threatened by the loss and degradation of their food source, seagrass. This is caused by pollution from nearby industrial development. If there is not enough food for them, they do not breed. They are also often found tangled in large fishing nets. The blue whale is the largest and loudest animal on the planet. There are many things that put the blue whale species under stress. Habitat loss and added toxins in the water they swim in are causes of their decline. They are also often harmed by ship strikes, and others drown when tangled in fish nets. Climate change has also lessened the available amount of krill for the blue whales to eat. Without one of its major prey, the blue whale cannot survive.